The Honda CR-V, the SUV you see everywhere you go all of the time, pretty much no matter what. For 2026, Honda is giving it a little bit of a refresh to try and keep it, well, fresh in the face of a new RAV4 that's coming out in a few months. Behind me is the CR-V Sport Touring. We'll get to that one in a second because it's pretty familiar to you already. The big news is the addition of a new TrailSport model to the CR-V lineup. So what do you get? Well, you're gonna notice the green paint. It's an option. It's trickling down from the Passport. It's called Ash Green Metallic, and I think it looks pretty nice. Some other exterior aesthetic modifications that point this thing out as a TrailSport to differentiate it from the other models is the TrailSport badge in the grille here that's in the typical TrailSport orange, and this silver painted lower bumper portion. It's not an actual skid plate. There's no metal underneath here, but it's silver to help differentiate it from the rest of the CR-V lineup. But the meat and potatoes of the TrailSport changes are centered around the new wheel and tire combo. You get specific TrailSport 18-inch wheels and tires, which have a recessed valve stem to keep you from damaging it when you're off-road, and some Continental all-terrain tires. The one caveat here is that the wheel and tire combo doesn't actually offer any extra ground clearance. It's the same as you get on something like a Sport Touring, like the one behind me, but the all-terrain tires are there basically to add traction.
Also, for 2026, Honda reprogrammed the traction control for all CR-Vs, not just the TrailSport, and that means you're going to have better control of wheel slip in sand or mud or snow, and it's going to make getting out of slippery situations a little bit easier. Before we get into the interior, it's worth noting that most of what Honda is offering with the TrailSport is something you can do yourself. Nothing is stopping you from going out and buying your own set of wheels and all-terrain tires. The only difference with the 2026 model is the retuned traction control system that I mentioned earlier. Beyond that, you can get most of the same capability Honda's offering with this car without having to buy an entirely new CR-V.
While we're in here, there are some changes for the TrailSport model, so I'm gonna run you through them real quick. This is based on the Sport model, so you get cloth seats. They're heated. You also get a heated steering wheel with some orange stitching on the inside of the rim. There's some orange stitching elsewhere throughout the cabin. And for 2026, all CR-V models are going to get a 9-inch touchscreen as standard. The standard one used to be 7 inches. It's slightly bigger now. The top spec Sport Touring hybrid model gets Google built in, but that's the only one that does get Google for 2026, and we'll talk about that more in a second. You also get a big digital instrument cluster and a wireless charging pad as standard on the TrailSport 2. So that's it for the TrailSport for 26. We're gonna move on over to the normal car that you're gonna be a lot more familiar with. This is the Sport Touring. It's the top spec model. And Honda's really happy with the way the CR-V has performed. It sells a ton. They got a lot of hybrids on the road. And it really is a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Regular CR-Vs that aren't the TrailSport are going to look exactly the same as they did before. There are no obvious ways to tell a 26 apart from a 25 until you get on the inside. Inside of the Sport Touring, which is the most expensive version of the CR-V for the new model year, not that much has changed. You still get the standard wireless charging pad, you still get the bigger screen, which the Sport Touring's always got. The big change here is the addition of Google built-in. And we've talked at length about Google and Honda's partnership and what you get with that. You can check out my buddy Clint's Civic Hybrid video right here. But the Cliff's Notes is you get a bunch of Google features and Google Assistant built in. But you're only gonna get that stuff in the top spec, most expensive version of the CR-V. So why is the CR-V so beloved? Why do they sell so many? And why aren't they changing the formula up too much? It comes down to two things, really. One, the hybrid gets pretty good fuel economy, and even though they haven't released numbers for 2026, we don't expect them to change very much for 2025, except on the TrailSport model, of course. But the other one is space and utility. Look at how much room I have back here. I'm 6 feet tall, and I have plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room. All of your passengers are gonna fit back here, no problem whatsoever. They also have class-leading cargo space in the back, and that's what makes this thing so popular and so easy to live with. In the back of the CR-V, it's not like super feature-laden. Space is really the big draw, but you do get 2 USB-C ports here, some air vents, and the seats go back and forth. They recline, so you can kind of lounge around while you're sitting back here. But by and large, it's a simple space with lots of room. Even though we're not getting a ton of changes for the new model year, the CR-V still sits at the top of our compact crossover ratings for a reason. Why do we love it so much? Because the fundamentals are excellent. These dials are super clicky. They're physical climate controls, which I love personally, and it means you can change the temperature while your eyes are still on the road because you're always gonna know where they are. That's great. The screen, while not the biggest in its class by any margin, is crispy, it's quick to respond, it's easy to get used to. That's another major usability feature that we really appreciate. The buttons on the steering wheel are nice and clicky and easy to read. The stalks are easy to manipulate. The CR-V gets the fundamentals right, and that's why we like it so much. Another thing that we dig about the CR-V so much is how big the cargo bay is. You get almost 40 cubic feet of space, and in layman's terms, that is just a lot. I also like the way the opening is shaped and how low the load floor is. It means I can pop a squat and check out the view whenever I like. Another thing worth mentioning is that all TrailSport models are going to be hybrid, and all of them are going to be all-wheel drive as standard. How do you tell them apart from another CR-V hybrid? It's easy. The bottom of this bumper is gray, and the bottom of this bumper is silver. That's it.
Power outputs won't change for 2026. Non-hybrid CR-Vs are still going to make 190 horsepower and 179 pound-feet of torque from a turbocharged 1.5-liter four-cylinder engine. These can be either front or all-wheel drive. The hybrid system will still combine an electric motor with a 2-liter four-cylinder engine, and total output will stay the same at 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. Something that's on everyone's mind right now, at least, is the subject of tariffs. They're affecting everything from the cars themselves to the component parts that go into them. How tariffs will affect the price of the new CR-V, Honda hasn't said, but it's worth knowing that a lot of what makes up the CR-V is either manufactured or assembled right here in the States. The hybrid system is assembled in Ohio, and a lot of the parts that make up the 2-liter engine it's paired to, that is, the block, the cylinder head, the crankshaft, the connecting rods, and the cams, are manufactured here too. Not only that, but CR-Vs are assembled in 2 different Honda plants, one in Ohio and one in Indiana. As a result, our best guess is that the 2026 CR-V is going to start at around $32,000 and go all the way up to around $43,000 for a top spec model like the Gray Sport Touring you see here. The TrailSport model is likely to start at around $38,000 when it gets put on sale.
So for 2026, the changes aren't all that major, and aside from the TrailSport model, it's the same CR-V that you already know and love. How it stacks up to the new RAV4 that's about to come out though, that's something we're gonna have to wait for. Until then, make sure to like and subscribe to the Edmunds YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the next one.